Hi, it's Christina with the Sisyphean Journal. I've already covered today's anniversary and I'll provide a link below. So we're going to look a little bit more about Kermit Gosnell. And in this case, we are going to look at a case from the grand jury report about a 30-week abortion that Gosnell botched. Now, you can say it was successful in that the baby died, but it did not go according to plan. So again, this is from the grand jury report, and I provide a link below so you can read the grand jury report yourself. The vast majority of Gosnell's post-24-week abortions we learned of from files, but there were some that came to the attention of other doctors and hospitals that were called on to treat his patients. This is how the grand jury learned of one third-trimester viable fetus that Gosnell caused to die before it was born. He did so by initiating an abortion on a 14-year-old girl who is estimated to have been 30 weeks pregnant. The teenager came to Gosnell for an abortion in September of 2007. Though most post-first trimester abortions took 2 days to complete, 1 day for the insertion of laminaria and dilation of the cervix, with the patient returning the next day for extraction, a woman we will call Nancy was scheduled for a 3-day procedure because her pregnancy was so advanced. On the first day, Gosnell inserted laminaria to begin dilation. 2 days later, Nancy returned to have the laminaria replaced for further dilation. She was scheduled to return the following day, a Sunday, for the abortion procedure. I get the feeling they're calling Nancy a woman because she was capable of getting pregnant, but I think Nancy was this 14-year-old girl. At home at 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, however, her membranes ruptured after several hours of labor. She attempted to contact the clinic but was unsuccessful and went instead to Crozer Chester Hospital. There, she delivered a stillborn baby girl weighing 2 pounds 1 ounce. Because the fetus was clearly beyond Pennsylvania's 24-week limit for abortions, the hospital reported the stillbirth to the Delaware County medical examiner, Dr. Frederick Hellman. Dr. Hellman's autopsy established that the baby's gestational age was at least 29 to 30 weeks, perhaps as much as 34 weeks. This conclusion was corroborated by a neonatologist who testified before the grand jury. The expert witness told the jury that the average weight of a baby born at 29 weeks is a little over 2 pounds. In response to the subpoena, Gosnell sent Nancy's file and a letter to Dr. Hellman on September 8, 2007. In the letter, Gosnell stated that an ultrasound showed the pregnancy was 24.5 weeks on September 7th, 3 days before the scheduled abortion. And Gosnell just had this habit of, if it was in the third trimester, he'd just say 24.5 weeks. Instead of 24 weeks, where he would have been in the legal limit, he was just a little bit illegal. Didn't work out well for him in the end. Gosnell's own file, however, contained an ultrasound indicating that Nancy was more than 25 weeks pregnant based on a measurement of the fetus's head. Dr. Hellman testified that even ultrasound appeared to have been manipulated to make the fetus's head appear smaller. Dr. Hellman's measurement of the skull during the autopsy showed that Nancy was almost 30 weeks pregnant. And if you go to the grand jury report, there is a picture of this stillborn baby girl, and you can tell me for yourself whether you think this was a baby or an undifferentiated blob of tissue. And Gosnell was just removing pregnancy tissue at the request of a woman. Gosnell also wrote in his letter to Dr. Hellman that he had injected the fetus with digoxin the day before birth in order to cause fetal demise before the intended abortion procedure. The medical examiner, however, testified that he found no indication that the fetus had in fact been injected with digoxin. The autopsy did not reveal any puncture wound from an injection, nor was digoxin evident in the toxicology screen. Based on scalp hemorrhage, the medical examiner concluded that the fetus had died during labor, possibly from the strong contractions that would have resulted from the heavy doses of labor-inducing medications. And this is why some of those prostaglandin abortions that were popular in the 70s and 80s would sometimes rip the woman's cervix right off because the contractions were so hard. Dr. Hellman opined that Nancy's baby was viable. Duh. The neonatologist told us that the survival rate for babies born at 29 weeks is 95%. At 30 weeks, the survival rate is nearly 100%. Based on his findings, the medical examiner reported Gosnell's violation of the Abortion Control Act to the Pennsylvania Department of Health. It took no action. I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die from that surprise.